Hello, everyone. The lesson for this small video is for introducing the basics of anaerobic digestion and the biogas production from different waste or different organic material, basically. In another video, I will give some details about the processes, how it's working, and what is theoretical biogas production. But here, just to introduce you to what we mean by anaerobic digestion and what is the product from this process and how we can use this product. This is a very simple video that I think will be beneficial for beginners and people who need to know about the anaerobic digestion and how can we use the biogas. Basically, this is the main product from anaerobic digestion in terms of energy or bioenergy production, basically. So I would start with what is anaerobic digestion? Anaerobic digestion is biochemical process or biodegradation process where organic material can biodegrade in the absence of oxygen. And of course, there are some enzymes and the microorganisms here, mainly bacteria and archaea. And the product from this process, including biogas, maybe some other intermediates, but we'll focus only on the biogas for today as the main product if we would like to use the biogas for as a source for bioenergy, basically. And the biogas is a mixture of methane, carbon dioxide, and trace amount of water or water vapor, basically, hydrogen, ammonia, and hydrogen sulfide. Mainly, if we hear about biogas, it's composed of 60 to 70% of methane, and the remaining mainly is carbon dioxide. Again, the other gases like water vapor and ammonia or hydrogen and hydrogen sulfide is minor amount there. I will get a little bit later for the composition, but here what we mean by organic matter, it can be animal manure or energy crops like switchgrass or other or maybe even algae or other energy crops. Also field residues like straw or corn stover or tomato residues or whatever actually left over after harvesting of crops. One of the main also organic material is mixed food waste. It's basically leftovers from supermarkets or from markets, and also even this hotels and hospitals and homes. All of this, they call it actually mixed food waste. So every organic matter has some kind of composition, chemical composition that composed of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. This organic matter can undergo again the biodegradation or biochemical process inside a closed container. We call it a digester. And in the presence of enzymes, this can be converted to intermediate, and I will explain this a little bit later here. And later on, this intermediate can undergo some other consortia of microorganisms, mainly bacteria and archaea, to produce methane and carbon dioxide, again, maybe some ammonia. This equation here is, they call it Boswell equation, and I have a short video actually to use this one and to predict the amount of biogas and methane content from organic matter with certain compositions. That if we have a composition for organic matter in any waste, we can just predict how much methane can be produced and how much carbon dioxide, and then based on the number of moles, we can calculate the methane content of this biogas that produced from certain waste. Okay. Anaerobic digestion is a series of steps, actually, a series of sub-processes, basically. If we have organic matter, it's composed mainly of proteins, carbohydrates, and lipids. This is for any material like manure, like food waste, like field residues. It can be composed of this, but based on the source, the ratio between these three main components, protein, carbohydrate, lipid, can change in the material. So basically, if we look at the field residues, we can find a lot of lignocellulosic material, which is mainly carbohydrates. And maybe if we look at the food waste in hotels or supermarkets or houses, you may find actually some proteins and lipids. So what happened here? So this material or this organic matter can undergo several processes until the biogas is produced. So the first process is, or the first step actually, is hydrolysis, or this kind of disintegration of this kind of complex compound like protein, carbohydrate, lipids. And this kind of disintegration can happen by enzymes. Several enzymes can be present in anaerobic digester, and these enzymes can treat this compound and produce amino acids, sugars, and LCFA, which is long chain fatty acids. And this compound, this can be intermediate. So basically, if there is no other bacteria, so you can actually just get this kind of sugars and long chain fatty acids. However, because this very complex bioprocess, you can find actually other organisms there, certain types of bacteria called acidogenesis, and then acetogenesis, and then later methanogenesis is this kind of archaea, basically. So what happened to this intermediate, the amino acids, sugars, and long chain fatty acids, they undergone the action of acidogenesis and produce volatile fatty acids, VFAs, and alcohols. Volatile fatty acids may be acetic acid, propionic acid, valeric acid, isovaleric acid, and alcohol may be ethanol or methanol. And this also, aside of this one, of this kind of intermediate, you can find also some ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, depending on basically the composition of the organic matter that you start with. If you have some proteins, you can have a high ammonia concentration. If you have some sulfur, of course, sulfur also can be produced, can be contained in some proteins. So you expect also some kind of hydrogen sulfide. And then these intermediates can undergo other type of microorganisms. They call it acetogenesis, this kind of bacteria that convert volatile fatty acids to acetic acid. So basically, some of these fatty acids, acetic acid, they can actually can just stay as acetic acid or convert it to maybe other compounds. But the other fatty acids, like volatile fatty acids like propionic or butyric or valeric or isovaleric, they can actually be reduced or converted to acetic acid by acetogenesis. And besides the acetic acid, hydrogen and the carbon dioxide is produced. And then in the last stage of this process or last step of this kind of series processes, the methanogenesis with the archaea, they can actually use acetic acid, or they can use hydrogen and carbon dioxide to produce methane and carbon dioxide, which is this kind of biogas. Of course, you can expect some of the ammonia that be reduced in the acidogenesis can be just transferred to the gas phase, which is biogas, and you can collect this kind of minor traces of ammonia and hydrogen sulfide as impurities basically in the biogas, and I will come to this a little bit later. Okay, I would like also to mention here that you could control the conditions for anaerobic digestion to just produce some hydrogen, or to actually produce more hydrogen depending on the pressure inside the reactor, and also depending on what kind of substrate you start with, and what kind of bacteria and archaea present in the reactor. So basically, you can manipulate the conditions of anaerobic digestion to produce more hydrogen, which they call it dark fermentation. But this is actually another topic that we're not going to handle today. Okay. So if the process, basically this kind of four processes, they can actually happen at the same time, and because basically it's not really one way, it's something like actually mix it, or this process can happen and at the same time, and you can find a lot of intermediate, and you can find still biogas produced. So basically the bacteria is working, enzymes are working, and then produce this biogas, and also produce the intermediate. This intermediate can be extracted for as chemicals like volatile fatty acid or alcohol. But yeah, if we only if our interest only in biogas, you can just keep the intermediate inside the reactor until converted to biogas. So what is the biogas? Biogas, again, it's a mixture of gases, mainly methane, carbon dioxide. This is methane, something like 50 to 70%, or sometimes actually for manure maybe, or other, and maybe lipid rich material or protein rich material, you can expect something like 70% of methane. The remaining actually, or the balance, sometimes actually carbon dioxide with trace element of nitrogen compounds like just nitrogen or ammonia. This can reach 1%. Hydrogen, it can again reach 5%, depending on again, if you manipulate the condition to just produce more hydrogens there. Hydrogen sulfide, this is actually also not good gas that can cause some problem to the reactor, and also to the biogas utilities later on. So basically, this is really bad, and also for human even is really bad gas. So this should be cleaned before the biogas is used. And water vapor, something like saturation, basically biogas, because it's happening at higher temperature, so you could expect high moisture content or high water vapor in the biogas. So I would like just to mention here that this biogas, again, based on the composition, you can see what kind of usage of the biogas. So the biogas, again, can be used for cooking, and also for electricity generation, or for steam generation, or for vehicle as vehicle gas, basically, or it just can be flared. So if we would like to use biogas for cooking, especially for developing countries, you can just connect the reactor outlet to the stove, but you need first to at least to remove the hydrogen sulfide. Basically, be careful with that. So it's really harmful gas. So you need actually to remove hydrogen sulfide before burning the gas. Otherwise, it will cause problem to people around the stoves there. For electricity generation, so again, you need also to remove hydrogen sulfide. Electricity generation here can be produced through internal combustion engine, or via fuel cells. So you can also upgrade this gas, especially for fuel cell. You need actually to remove at least some of the carbon dioxide, and also you need to remove any other impurities there. For electricity generation via internal combustion engine or generator, like conventional generator, you may actually just remove the hydrogen sulfide and maybe other impurities there, but you can still maybe use carbon dioxide there. That is actually, it will not be affect that the performance may be a little bit, but still you can still use just carbon dioxide and the methane there. For boilers, actually here, this is just to generate steam. And to generate steam, just you burn the gas inside this kind of boilers. So again, you need to remove hydrogen sulfide. The big use for biogas is to produce renewable natural gas. Or actually, if you sometimes just you hear this renewable natural gas, or RNG. Renewable natural gas. So this means that basically you upgrade the biogas to natural gas specifications. So basically you need to remove all impurities like carbon dioxide. You need to remove the hydrogen sulfide. You need to remove other impurities, and just to meet the standard for natural gas. If you remove all of these impurities, this can be pumped into natural gas pipelines, or it can be used for vehicles stations. So basically to fuel natural gas vehicles, basically cars, buses, or others. Or in the worst case scenario, just if there is no use for the biogas, just this sometimes, for example, if we have some kind of electricity generator that has some problems, just instead of venting the biogas to the atmosphere, just flare it. So basically you convert them to less harmful gas, which will be carbon dioxide, instead of venting the biogas, which containing the methane. With that, I would like also to stop here and see you in next video about the conditions that need to be maintained to have high yield or high biogas production from